It's in the game.
Give me a break, need another life. Oh, need another life. Give me a break, need another life.
So there's going to be one silver lining of Arsenal's Champions League elimination. It's that now they can put all their resources into finally crossing that line and winning the Premier League. The first in their running is a matchup against Liverpool at Anfield, though. So here we are for the title run in the last few games of the Premier League season. And the table couldn't be more finely poised. Manchester City and Arsenal are level on points with 3 games left. Arsenal certainly have a tougher run in with Liverpool today. And I think their last game of the season is going to be against Newcastle United. They've got Crystal Palace and another team in between that. But of course, Arsenal will probably be riding a bit of a low considering the loss against Real Madrid. But at least that now really gives Mikel Arteta every resource to focus on the league. They have not got another league another competition to think about until the FA Cup final after this league season is over. What a wonderful place Anfield is. It's certainly a stadium I would like to visit, no doubt about it. Even as a Manchester United supporter, I cannot deny the atmosphere around this place is always so wonderful to witness and be a part of. It's really goosebump inducing. These fans love their club and they love their team. And today Liverpool have top 4 aspirations to think about. And what a good first year for Arne Slot, let's be honest. No one really knew his name even coming into this season. But he certainly made a very decent splash for a first season. It's not the winning kind of formula he's got, although, to be fair, he did win the Carabao Cup, didn't he? Against Manchester City. We brought you live coverage of that. So, a 1 trophy and a top 4 aspiration for a first season in which no one really knew your name, that's very impressive. Give Arne Slot a lot of credit. He has really done well. He inherited a decent squad, you could argue, but still, to get these kind of results he has is very impressive. I don't think you can take anything away from him today, for him this season. Well, it's back to full strength for Arsenal. William Saliba and Gabriel back in. You probably could argue that they probably should have played against Real Madrid. But now, it's all about the league for Arsenal now. Keep the wins coming. It's just a shame that one of their final run-in games is against top 4 opponents in Liverpool. Let's see how they do. Of course, they'll be kind of feeling the match against Real Madrid a little bit. Only a few days between the two. But if Arsenal can put that behind them and do what they do best, I think they will be fine. And here comes Isak and Saka already linking up well here. And Virgil van Dijk with a tackle. So, I think it's 91 points apiece. Arsenal with a tremendous goal difference that Manchester City, even they, probably can't overhaul. I think it's like 30 goals between the two. So, if Arsenal just keep winning until the end of the season, they will win it rather comfortably on goal difference. But that's what they need to do. They've probably got... I think both teams have a relatively easy run-in. Arsenal, you could argue, have the tougher one. Here's Saka. Have the tougher one because, Liverpool. And also, they have to go and entertain Newcastle United at the Emirates. Even as an away side, Newcastle United will be a pretty tough prospect. The one thing that Arsenal will take comfort from is that it's not Alisson in goal this afternoon. I think it's Kofier who has a very important job to do for Liverpool in this match. And of course, Liverpool will be also preparing to say goodbye to Trent Alexander-Arnold. Huge rumours that he is off to Real Madrid after season's end. Not many Liverpool fans are happy about it, but I think, to be fair, the lure of Real Madrid is too hard for anyone to turn down. Let's have a look at things from here. So, I think there's about 2 or 3 games left. Hold the phone. Isak has scored. Isak has scored. That's goal number 35 now, isn't it? So, now Alexander Isak is just 1 goal behind Erling Haaland now. History could be made in his very near future. But as you can see, Liverpool 7 points behind Chelsea in the fight for 4th. It's not impossible from here, but they probably need a couple of results to go their way to get into 4th. But even still, like we said, it's been a very decent first season under Arne Slot. But Arsenal now seem back to their somewhat best. Isak really didn't get many chances against Real Madrid, and the one he did, he missed. Which it was a chance you really put your house on him scoring from. But here today, he's put Arsenal 1 up, and we've not even reached 10 minutes yet. So that's a good bounce back here for Arsenal. They need to do this. They need to do exactly that. They need to bounce back from Real Madrid, put it in the back of their minds now, and focus on taking this league title. The one they have yearned for so many years and came so many close to in the last 2 seasons. This year, they have to get over the line. They have the striker to do it in Isak. They have the other players around him to do it. This has to be won now because obviously Arsenal have already won the FA Cup in the last 5 years. So not to take the league title at one point, which they probably look like winning to a degree. But I think all City's games in hand, or at least 2 of them, have given a real boost to their championship chances. But that loss against Brentford certainly has made it a bit more tighter than Arsenal would like. But if they just keep doing this very thing, they'll be fine. And we know they are more than capable of doing it. So Kefler has already faced the goal-scoring prowess of Alexander Isak. And that's another goal for him. I believe that's 35 now. He is just 1 off Erling Haaland's all-time record of 36 for that Manchester City on his debut year at Manchester City, I think that was, where he just, well, he wouldn't stop scoring, would he? It was quite phenomenal, to be fair. But Isak is on for a greater season than that. There is history in his near future being made, and more than enough time to do it, really. He could even do it today. Put it to the back of his mind and focus on winning the rest of the games. Once he gets it over the line, he can focus on bringing the Premier League home for this team. David Raya, he's put down Isak. David Raya has been superb at distributing the ball in the last few games for sure. Well, Carabao Cup winners Liverpool already this season after a match against Manchester City in which Mo Salah was almost unplayable. In fact, he was unplayable. And here is Jota, and he's fired wide with the header. Kick from David Raya, that is. His distribution's got a lot better. It's just a shame that it didn't really work out for him against Real Madrid, but he did come up against Kylian Mbappe, a superstar in his own right. I'm pretty sure Trent has made the team this afternoon for Liverpool. I'd be very surprised if he hasn't, even if he is Real Madrid bound. And like we said, a lot of the fans aren't happy about it, but to be fair, it's the same kind of scenario that any player has been tempted away by Real Madrid. David Beckham and Cristiano Ronaldo, you know, when it comes to players leaving their clubs for Real Madrid, you probably could argue that Manchester United have really been hit the hardest. With David Beckham and, as we said, Cristiano Ronaldo, just to name two. I think there's probably a couple others as well. Or at least, if not Real Madrid, some other huge club. Doesn't really matter if you're a boyhood hero, and these days, it's business. You know, Trent, I think, is a boyhood club person, but when Real Madrid come calling, football is as business as much of a sport at this point. And I think when you get tempted by Real Madrid to join the Galacticos and have your name been liked for the rest of your career, no matter what happens, unless, of course, your team doesn't win, in which case, with Real Madrid's fans, they'll be on your back instantly. But just to play for them and feel that atmosphere when you're constantly winning is pretty hard to turn down. Oh my goodness. That is not Alexander Isak on the ground. It is Alexander Isak on the ground. Oh no. I sincerely hope that Alexander Isak can run this off. He's back on his feet. Thank goodness. Bournemouth have scored against, conceded against Aston Villa, but that's secondary because very, very worried looks on the fans of on the faces of everyone who is in the Arsenal fan kind of stage today, or Mikel Arteta for that matter, because Alexander Isak is struggling on the pitch. Please do not tell me that he's going to suffer a season-ending injury with 3 games left and sitting 1 goal behind Erling Haaland. That would be just the cruelest twist of fate. He really is grimacing, but he is trying desperately to stay on the pitch. He is literally standing there shaking his head at Arteta. He knows what he's doing, or trying to do. He's trying to get him off. But Isak is furiously shaking his head at every break, but right now he's feeling it. There's something not right. It might be his leg. We hope that it's just maybe a strain or a pulled muscle somewhere. Oh my goodness. What cruel luck it would be. 2 games left after this one. Isak is on the verge of making history, but right now he's struggling. And he's trying desperately to stay on that pitch. Furiously shaking his head. He might try and stray till half-time. But, oh my goodness. He really is struggling. Virgil van Dijk took a tackle to be fair, but I think he might have touched that with his hand. I honestly don't know why there wasn't like a free kick pullback for that. Here's Jota. Here's Garvenberch. And it's wide. Well, Eddie Nketiah and Kai Havertz, I believe. Or at least Eddie Nketiah is warming up. Oh boy. This would be the cruelest fate to befall Alexander Isak. When an Arsenal player has gone down, they've been revealed to be on the injury list for some time. And Nottingham Forest have scored against Leicester City. I'm pretty sure there is a name bug in this game, because that's the second time that icon has popped up. Or maybe even the 3rd time this season. So there is a scorer's name bug in this game. Figures. But oh my goodness. Well, we know how much the broken toe injury is a common thing in EFC 25. And we hope that Alexander Isak isn't the latest victim to have it. And Arsenal fans certainly hope that's the case. I mean, me too. It's been a joy to watch Isak play this season. But we can't really know the extent of it until we know officially Isak is trying to stay on the pitch. And credit to him, but he knows history could be made at any point over the next few games. Tierney with the ball in. And Kelly Hart is, well, He'll be thankful, but he doesn't really probably have to face Isak at full strength now. Here is Mo Salah. So Velocity with a shot, and straight down right. Good save. And to get a clean sheet today would be a great confidence boost for David Raya. These Arsenal players definitely need to pick me up after a loss to Madrid. Jeremy Doku has scored for Manchester City against Southampton, as they will just not go away. It was probably expected, to be fair, because Southampton are really much confined to relegation at this point. I think if results don't go their way, Wolves and Ipswich in particular could be down today. If results don't go their way, and I think it'll be either Southampton or someone else that will join them relatively soon after. To Tommy Astu. As half-time approaches, Mikel Arteta is keeping a watchful eye on Isak. He can't even shoot the ball. I think there's probably something wrong with the shooting side of his body. Lower body, it looks like his leg. So, it might not be in the foot area, which might be a good thing. So, it might be just a pulled muscle. In probably the back of his leg, maybe his calf or something, which might not be as bad as it sounds. He's trying to pick out Moreno. He's struggling. Half-time is approaching. I do not think we'll be seeing Alexander Isak back on for the second half. In an absolutely cruel twist of fate. There's the half-time whistle. Arsenal are ahead by a goal to nil, but have much more pressing concerns. Namely, the condition of that man, Alexander Isak. He's already got a goal today. He's one behind Erling Haaland's record. But what will be the extent of that injury? I don't think we'll see him for the second half. Arsenal need to hold on. They lead by a goal to nil. Welcome to the second half. And the inevitable has happened. Kai Havertz has made come on for Alexander Isak to start the second half. And now we wait for any news on his condition. You will know when we do. Bukayo Saka has also immediately gone off by Mikel Arteta. A bit of a risk, to be honest, because Arsenal haven't been as comfortable when they've been subbing off. Not sacking, but subbing off Saka and Isak late in games. Moreno makes it 2-0. And that's Mikel Moreno. And that will do nicely. That will do very nicely indeed, actually. Very nicely indeed. So, next for Arsenal will be Crystal Palace in midweek. I will have to try and find out what the remaining fixtures are after that. But I think Newcastle United is the end of the season. I will bring it up whilst we watch this game. I probably should have done this a few times this year. We will try and keep our eyes peeled on the game. Or I will at least, because it's me doing the commentating today. I think the next game for us will actually be the conclusion of the Women's Super League between Manchester United and their team, Arsenal, ironically. That's Moreno's 5th of the season, I think. And also Chelsea between them and Liverpool for the Women's Super League title. A bit of a final day showdown. So we are going to get a bit of a final day showdown this year. We might also get it in the Premier League between Arsenal and City. Whoever draws the first dropped points or loss will lose the league in this scenario. That's a penalty. That should be a penalty. The referee hasn't given it. Here's Saliba. And I'm actually wrong. Newcastle is actually their penultimate game of the season. And then it will be Southampton away from home. So Southampton should be a win. Newcastle will be a tough one. And they've got Palace in midweek, which should be a win. But I think Palace gave Arsenal a game last time those two faced off. So that's interesting. Let's have a look at Manchester City's while we're kind of doing, kind of semi trying to multitask here. Here is Trent, actually. Trent, so he has made the starting lineup today. So, says City have 2 games. Actually, I'm not sure. What I'm looking at here, it says they've only got very minimal. They've got like, I think their last Premier League game tomorrow, it says. Well, not tomorrow, but... And then they've got Crystal Palace... Okay, for the City's fixtures, they don't seem to be like actually showing the ones that actually they're doing. So for City's, we'll just have to kind of go by the game, because I'm not sure. I think one of their final games is Southampton, which is actually quite ironic that both title teams have Southampton at the moment. So that's quite funny, actually. So I think there might be some rescheduling, because of course, don't forget that Manchester City and Arsenal will face each other in the FA Cup. Now, according to the game, I think that's going to be before the end of the season. But I think they might reschedule that. I'll have to see. And there's confirmation of Arsenal's next match. So that is Crystal Palace. So Isaac will certainly miss that game for sure. Because that's only a few days away. I think that might be one of Arsenal's game in hand, actually. We'll have to see. But of course, it's all muddled up, really, because of... That's a good save from David Raya. Really muddled up because, of course, Manchester City and Arsenal face each other in the FA Cup final. Now, the game says that will be before the last 2 games of the season, which I find hard to believe. I don't think that has ever been the case with the FA Cup final, so I think there might be a bug there, or something that was kind of gone wrong in the game coding before it came out. So we'll probably... what we'll have to do is we'll have to think of something to kind of fix that, because I don't think that's going to be the case, and I don't think it's going to get changed. I think there was a patch for the game in recent times where the fixture list was actually fixed up to avoid that bug. It hasn't affected this. It hasn't come into on this career mode saved, let's say. So what we're going to have to do is, if the game does do that, we're going to have to bypass it, play the final 2 league games of the season, and that could be a sending off instantly. No, it's not. I thought it was the same player doing 2 tackles there. But it was 2 players in the book. Garvin Betches the lasers. That pretty much is a bookable offence, really, to be fair. But we're going to have to bypass that, play the 2 final league games, and then go back to the FA Cup to bring you live coverage of the FA Cup final between City and Arsenal, because that's what it is. So that's kind of like the plan. Of course, the Premier League fixtures are going to have to be rearranged because of it. So I would say Arsenal's was pretty much correct. I think with like Palace and then Southampton, Newcastle, Southampton, that would probably be pretty much correct, I would have thought. City's seems to only be showing Southampton coming up, so that's obviously not really correct, because I think these 2 are on the same amount of games as each other. Ipswich are having a bit of a hard time against Brentford, and Ipswich are on the brink of relegation at the moment. They could even go down as well. So I think Wolves and Ipswich, if results don't go their way today, they could be relegated by the end of the afternoon, which would be really sad. To be honest. And I think Leicester City are going to be the only one of the promoted teams to stay up, and even they're staying up by the skin of their teeth at the moment. And Havertz with a header that's wide. Well, even without Isaac, they are coping really well. But I'm sure that everyone who is an Arsenal fan, maybe even the neutrals, will be hoping that Isaac isn't really seriously hurt by that injury earlier. He did soldier on to the end of the first half, so I don't know whether Mikel Arteta will take pretty much positive from that or not, Depends if he worsened the injury in the process, whatever it is. I don't think so. He didn't really take another clash or anything, so he might be okay. But we'll have to wait and see. Kai Havertz. He's just finding a gap left in the little defence here. Plays it back towards, I think it was Moreno. Pretty playing as a makeshift striker right now, Mikel Moreno. He's doing pretty good at it, having scored a goal earlier. Moreno. Now Sterling. Well, there's been no info, and Patson has scored, I'm assuming, for Leicester City, as they are now 1-1 with Nottingham Forest. So there's been no real update on what Arsenal plan to do with Raheem Sterling. I think every expectation is he will return to Chelsea. Now, he was adamant he would never play for Chelsea again before the loan happened. So I think he'll be looking to either get moved on by loan or by not. But who's, I guess, a team low in the Premier League could do with Sterling's experience, let's say. But his wages might be a bit more of an issue on that front. We'll have to see. I think there's every expectation to return to Chelsea and probably not come back to Arsenal in any department, because he's not really featured that much for Arsenal this season, really, because Arsenal have done so well regardless of who comes out. Everyone's had a stellar year to a degree. Gyökeres, haven't really talked about him in this game. He's been rather quiet, to be honest. And here is Raheem Sterling, and well, Raheem Sterling has scored. We were just talking about him just a second ago, and he scored. And that's kind of ironic. Of course, the Liverpool fans aren't particularly happy about it. Well, he's certainly proved even remotely useful, really. He's really been a nice fill-in for people when they go down, like Saka and Trossard and Gyökeres, because they are predominantly wing players, and that's what Sterling is. And he makes it 3-0. So that proves, really, that there is still some worth to be seen in Raheem Sterling. Now, this is interesting. Wolves 1, Brighton 0 is a stall coming in. Now, Wolves are the bottom club at the moment. I think that's rather interesting. I think even if they win, they need to hope that maybe another couple of results don't go their way, or they could still actually go down by the end of the afternoon. So if it even ends that way. So we'll have to look at the scores at the end of the game and see at the end of our coverage today and see if anything changes. But that could be a really interesting scoreline happening at Molineux. Here's Tyranny to Gyökeres. Here's Martin Odegaard, who was one of the scorers against Real Madrid late on. Virgil van Dijk clears it away, but was that a handball? You probably argue that it came in at such a rate of knots that there's not much Van Dijk could do about it. Now, Mo Salah is going to be absolutely impossible to play against right now. Look at all the space he's got. It's going to be a goal for Liverpool here. Soboyarski, and he's missed it. Well, that probably should have been a surefire goal, to be honest, but David Raya will take it all day long. Van der Berg is going off, as is Sobieski, actually. I'm not really sure how to pronounce his name, so I apologise if I butchered him. Christensen's actually gone on for Van der Berg. And Sobieski is come off for Fakir, I think. I'm not sure how to pronounce that one either. There's Luis Diaz for Liverpool. Jota immediately cut out by William Saliba. That man is a tank. And, that's covered up by David Raya. And Tomiyasu immediately clears it away because he was pressured there by Luis Diaz for a Liverpool corner. It was pretty wasteful from Tomiyasu, to be honest. And we've got a score coming in, and Bournemouth and Aston Villa are in an absolute classic down at the Vitality Stadium. It's 3-3 there now, so there's some game going on there. Here's Trent. Tomiyasu. Arsenal, an absolutely vital comeback win after the setback against Real Madrid. They have done their part, and they have beaten Liverpool by 3-0 as of right now. Odegaard tries a shot, and it's saved by the keeper. You've got to applaud his effort this afternoon. Alisson's obviously been a big miss for Liverpool in this game. And this is exactly what Arsenal would have wanted, but the last we heard, Manchester City were beating their opponents. So, no change at the top, except for 3 points being added to the total. This really is going down to the last day, isn't it? Because these two are just relentlessly winning in terms of the league anyway. Van Dijk towers over Sterling. Wow. Towers over him. Virgil van Dijk is such a strong and big defender. Certainly somewhat a tough customer. But Arsenal have dealt with it really well today. And they win by 3-0. But the pressing story is what is the condition of their man on the verge of history. Alexander Isak is on goal 35 and down. With what? We do not know what. But Raheem Sterling and Mikel Moreno have added to his goal in the first half. Arsenal have won comfortably here by 3-0. Next is Crystal Palace in this title run-in, but they're more concerned with the status of their main man. But they've won 3-0 today. They hope for more good news later. And let's bring you all the other scores then. Wolves did win against Brighton by 1-0. Brentford won at Ipswich by 2-0. Bournemouth and Villa ended 3-3. Manchester City won 3-1 against Southampton in the end. And I think that is Southampton, Ipswich down. Maybe Wolves are down as well. And I think Southampton are pretty much on the brink. Everton lost to Fulham by 1-0. Nottingham Forest beat Leicester by 2-1. And Manchester United 3-1 loses to West Ham. Wow. Newcastle beat Chelsea by actually they drew against Chelsea with a goal draw, and that was the same at Tottenham Hotspur. So Manchester City and Arsenal now tied on 91 points. So my original time was wrong. Now now it actually is correct. But look at that goal difference. Goals different 95 for Arsenal. Manchester City on 42. That's quite astounding when you think about it. Chelsea going to fourth. I think they've been fourth for some time, actually. Liverpool's loss here today pretty much ends their run for a fourth place finish. Spurs fifth, followed by Brentford, West Ham, Bournemouth, Brighton, Aston Villa, Fulham, Manchester United, and then Crystal Palace. And here is where it gets interesting. So Everton are pretty much safe, I would think, on 33 points, which is great for the Goodison Park faithful. Wolves, that win has given them an outside shot of relegation, but for Southampton and for Ipswich Town, their stay in the Premier League is over. Southampton have a game in hand, but they would have to win every game to be with a shout. Wolves and Southampton could be following Ipswich sooner rather than later because there are 6 points left. Wolves are on 23, and their goal difference is worse than Leicester City's. So with that in mind, and Southampton being pretty much the same scenario, Ipswich are down for sure because they would only get 26, and Southampton are pretty close there as well. So the relegation is either confirmed in Southampton's case or Ipswich's case. Wolves' win has given them a slim chance, but I think relegation is all but settled for this season. So I think that's one thing we won't have to really talk about during the final game of the season. It's going to be who finishes first, and I think it's going to be pretty much a dead heat for the rest of the season, with everything pretty much on the same level in terms of record. But like we said, Arsenal's goal difference far superior when it's in the 90s. But what a run-in we're going to have here.